What's up, everybody? It's your boy Take to Say, the host and founder of Brother Breathe. I am really excited to introduce this special series for Women's History Month, better known as Women's Herstory Month. Because when we pause and really think about it, without women, where would we be? If not for the women who have nurtured, led, taught, challenged, and carried our communities forward, so many of us would not be standing where we are today. Here at Brother Breathe, we are a community of brothers who believe that our healing is deeply interconnected with the healing of Black women. Our growth, our awareness, and our wellness cannot exist in isolation. It happens in relationship, in community, and in honoring those who have poured into us. As a young Black man who was raised and shaped by Black women, my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, my teachers, and the church mothers who guided me along the way, I understand how essential it is to celebrate the brilliance, resilience, and sacrifices of Black women. Their labor, their love, and their leadership have contributed to the collective healing of our communities locally, nationally, and across the globe. So this month, Brother Breathe is taking a moment to pause and exhale and honor the work of Black and Brown women, both known and unknown. Women like Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, Vice President Kamala Harris, Jasmine Crockett, Barbara Jordan, Ida B. Wells, Dolores Herrera, Coretta Scott King, Bishop Iona Locke, Mother Emma F. Crouch, Dr. Mae Jackson, Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter, Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. Ruth Simmons, Bell Hooks, Octavia Butler, Zora Neale Hurston, and so many more whose voices, courage, and vision and labor continue to shape the world we live in today. Throughout this month, we'll be lifting up the voices of Black women, influencers, healers, creatives, and advocates who are doing the sacred work of healing, awareness, and helping our community breathe again. So stick around with us this month as we continue Women's Herstory Month because we believe that when Black women thrive, our communities thrive. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share these upcoming episodes. We look forward to sharing with you. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tate to Say, founder and host of Brother Breathe. I am super excited to kick off the month of March, which is Women's History Month, better known as Women's Herstory Month, as we celebrate her voice, her advocacy. And I couldn't think of a better person to bring on this month than none other than Miss Toni Hunt. She is a dear friend of mine who gives me so much inspiration, and she influences me because she is a mental health influencer, self-love influencer, beauty influencer, okay? And she does it all. She does it so much with grace, love, and patience and beauty. And so I'm just so happy to welcome you on this platform. Toni, how are you today?
Thank you so much, Tay. That felt so good to have that love. Period. Okay. To have that love makes me feel just so happy to be here. You are also a huge inspiration because I love people who talk about the external things, how to dress, your beauty, all of those things. But it's something about somebody talking about your mental health. Let's talk about how you're really feeling inside. And so I'm excited to be here. I also feel inspired by your consistency. And today is a beautiful, not so sunny day out here in DMV, but it's a good day. It's a happy Saturday.
Good. And what I love also about our relationship is that so we met in New Orleans at Essence Festival and you were just blogging and when I y'all she was committed. Like
Mhm.
we were in the car in our Uber and she's recapping the event we just went to. And I was just like I am inspired. So, and like I just
Period.
thought that I was just so amazed at the commitment because we went to a lot of events, but we were running around that city ragged. Okay, so
We were.
but you
That
kept your
was my
energy
first
up.
time.
That was your first time, and you kept your energy up. You gave your viewers what they needed. So I just want to say kudos to you because you are giving your viewers what they need, what they're looking for.
Yeah, like I was saying, that was my first time in Essence in New Orleans at Essence Fest. I had always wanted to go, and it was the perfect opportunity that time. But yeah, that was actually around the time that I really like got a level more serious in my content. I was recording my weekly vlogs, but this vlog was much more intentional. Before I went there, I created a blueprint of what I wanted to record, where even down to in the car, do a recap. At this event, do your walkthrough. Like I had got really serious about a blueprint of what I wanted to vlog. So those moments that you saw me so serious, it was because I wanted to make sure it flowed in a way that was engaging to my audience and also true to myself. So yeah, that was it was one of my first times I was like locked in for real.
And you ate that because I started following you after that, and then I got a little a feature in the vlog, and so
Did you
right,
do you have a feature in the vlog? I think you were in my vlog. Yes.
because we looked so good together when we did a photo together, and it ended up going to the vlog, and so I appreciate you, and actually. Your text message after that was just like, make sure you stay consistent. And that was just so dope. It was really inspiring for me. For you as an influencer, what keeps you going?
Yeah, our photo ate. Okay, people
Mm,
still love that picture till this day. What
exactly.
keeps me going in my vlogging? Yes, what keeps me going in my vlogging is being able to give the girls that I talk to about mental health and about self-love, giving them community. There's one thing to just talk at somebody and try to give them, but there's another thing to be a girl's friend. And just womanhood, friendship, that's the type of community that I want to build with my vlogging. So that's what keeps me going, just making sure that I'm showing up for those girls, those ladies that like maybe they don't have a bunch of girlfriends, but I want to be able to be their friend. Because I remember the first time I had a vlog friend, I was like, that's my girl. So I want to give that space to other ladies too.
Mm-hmm. So it's Women's History Month, and I'm just curious to know, what does Women's History mean to you?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, and that's amazing realization on my journey that I wasn't always in tune with my womanhood. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to really finally touch into my womanhood, now I'm able to look back and look at all of the things that women experience, just down to like childbirth, period. Like being able to carry a whole being, like our bodies are structured for nurturing, our bodies are structured for that. And then to lead a family and be gracious and be able to show up, but not only show up as a woman in that sense, but also be able to have your voice heard in a strategic way when it comes to the corporate world, or it comes to your business, or it comes to whatever your professional life is. It's amazing how women can be in all these spaces, soft, challenging people, all of these things. And I love that we can embody all that. So when I think of women's history, I think of all the ways that we showed up in different spaces, showing up to change the rights of ladies, showing up to birth women and men. Like it's just we are expansive, okay?
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. So if you could have dinner with, let's say, three women from history, who would they be and what would you
Mhm.
ask them?
Ooh. Okay, so that's a good question. A good question. I think that so a little bit about my background. I was really into the arts, music, and fashion when I was like a young girl. So I'm going to just
Mm,
tap into that space. Of course, I want to meet Beyonce. History
mhm,
back then, now, whenever. I would like to sit down with Beyonce because I want to see her mindset of going through the diversity, the adversity she went through.
mm,
Um, as a lady in a group, into her era where I think like some of her era was like ultra pop, but I feel like she needed to do that to be like Beyonce that we know now, like the
mm,
Renaissance Beyonce. Like wanting to talk about what it looked like to kind of have to put aside your truth in a sense to break through and then show up as her afterwards.
Mm.
Left Eye. Left
Hmm.
Eye's another one
Okay.
because she was very innovative.
Mm.
And I like Left Eye. She was somebody who stood out to me because she was quirky and different and wasn't like this cookie cutter clean woman that they put on the TV for us to see. She was her own, she was herself. And so that encouraged me to want to just embrace my quirkiness. I always was like this is my nerdy, artsy. I was that type of girl. So when I saw Left Out on the TV, it encouraged me. And I wanted to talk to her and ask her like what gave her the courage to be different. What gave
Mm.
her the courage to say, it's okay for me to be the girl in this three girl group. And back then, of course, the clothes were more relaxed. So the sensuality and sexuality that we see today in rap wasn't really a big thing then,
Right.
but she still stood her ground in like being just a different girl. So I would like to learn more about her courage and what made her feel like I don't have to conform.
Mm.
And let me see one more person. I would have said Tyra, but Tyra's gotten into too much mess right now.
Leave Tyra where she is.
Let's not talk about Tyra. Let me think of one more person. I'm thinking Oprah. Oprah's at the top of my tongue. Oprah broke
Mm.
through many different layers of entertainment, of um, humanitarianism. Did I just make that word up? I just feel like Oprah is somebody who also is seeing like has seen some backlash, but having a voice and giving all of these people a stage to share their voice,
Hmm.
even in those complex moments, those tough journalism moments, she asks questions that people want to know, right? And so
Hmm.
I would love to ask. Oh, I just want to talk to Oprah about everything, okay?
Hmm.
About everything. And she looked so good at that Chloe runway in Paris of the day. I was like, okay, Oprah, you're eating down. So
Yeah.
Oprah too.
Well, if
Yeah.
all three of these women are sitting at the same table for dinner, who do you think will run the
Mhm.
table or the conversation?
Left Eye.
Mm, I can see
I
that.
think that Left Eye would run the conversation because I feel that although these are three strong women who all have done major things in their careers, and the rest of peace to Left Eye, of course. But I think that Left Eye might have been the most outspoken one. Now I
Hmm.
think that Beyonce has have learned throughout her journey of how to become outspoken. I remember watching documentaries saying her saying like she had to learn watching her father, and her father used to manage them. She learned that from her father. And I feel like Oprah, she just has the voice, right? But I feel like Left Eye just from my POV, Left Eye just is going to eat now. She's going to like run. She's going to run the table. She's going to give us
Hmm.
all space to talk, but I think that she's going to hold it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, if I had to invite three women to dinner, I would invite one Zora Neale Hurston, writer,
Mhm.
activist, academic. I would invite Toni Morrison. And one of the reasons why I liked you so quick is because when I asked you how you spelled your name, you spell it like Toni Morrison. And so I love
Yes.
that. And then I would also invite Oprah. And part of the reason is because I am infatuated with good writers. I don't consider myself to be a good writer, but I love those who can. I just love good books and novels. And Toni, it just has a great way of encapsulating the feelings
Mhm.
and the emotions and the experiences of folks who are on the margins and how they are able to navigate situations and be humanized. I think she humanized a lot of experiences, the good and the bad, the ugly and the sad, so well in her novels like Sulla and what was it, Sula? Sulla, Sula, um, um, just so many more, right? Like I'm also thinking about the way that Zora was able to like capture different experiences during the era that she grew up in, and it's like just so amazing to be able to read some of her writings, but also see how she was challenging complex themes and systems at that time that was unknown and unheard of from a Black woman. And she also was a little messy, and so I felt like she would be fun to hang out with. And so I'm like, and she knew all the tea. Like she traveled a lot around the South, and so she was hopping and bopping from different areas, and so I felt like she would be so much fun. And Oprah, because no matter how you like her or not, like her story from ground zero to where she is now is absolutely amazing. And I think that that would just be so encouraging to just listen to her story, to get some tips on how to, navigate podcast spaces and where she think the world is going to be in 20 years. What is media going to look like in 20 years? I think that that would be great just to be able to hear from her. And yeah, and I just love Black women. I do think that in that conversation, though, Zora will dominate the table. Just from the readings and just from like the things that I've read about her, like she will pretty much run the entire table. So, and Tony will probably be the one who's just snapping back and kind of like questioning and pushing back and being curious and asking questions. But yeah, so those would be my three women. So, but I love this conversation because also it gives us an insight on who you are. So tell the folks a little bit about who Toni is and how she has arrived to this level of knowledge and understanding about self awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am Toni. I'm from Cleveland. I am now in the DMV, and it's been, I guess if you think about it all together, it's been 5 years that I've been living in the DMV. But I'm from the east side of Cleveland, and listen, my upbringing was my parents did as best as they can, but my parents were teen parents. So with that being said, we kind of know that story of you are growing up with you're growing up with your parent, and they're learning. We're all learning as parents. I'm not a parent, but parents are always learning, right? And my mother and my father, they were learning as they raised us, hitting their head, falling down. But with all of what I experienced, I learned that I had a good amount of confusion, a good amount of anger. I just felt misunderstood. I can say
Mm,
that wrapped up how I felt about my childhood. I had some fun. My sister, my siblings, my cousins, we always had a good time. But I was always a star student. I played no games at school. My academics was amazing. Straight A student always. Graduating valedictorian of my class of high school. I didn't play no games, and I also at home I was very, like I said earlier, I was really artsy. I love my music. I love my clothes. I started dabbling in fashion. And so that led me into college where I thought I was going to create a career in fashion. And I was scared about that. And I was like, well, I'll do journalism because my mother will always have Sister to Sister magazines, Empire
mm,
magazine. She would have all of the magazines just laying around the house. And I'm like, I want to do that. Watching Free on 106 in Park, I wanted to be a journalist. But I was so scared of the fashion industry because I didn't know how realistic that was for my life. That was kind of like my younger years, but right after college, I'm like, I need to make some money, right? And I had an older cousin who was like, she lived in DC and she always encouraged and pushed us to go just somewhere outside of Ohio. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try it. Me coming to the DMV, that changed my life.
mm,
So my fashion, my love for my fashion, my love for arts and music, that remains in me. But when I went to DMV and I left all my friends, my family at home, I was like just forced to be with myself. Mind you, in college, I was going through depression, but did not know that. And
mm,
I was busy in college, going to class, all of the things. And so I never really addressed it. When I got to DMV, child, I had no place to run. I was like in
mm,
my face. And so I just decided that I need to figure out why did I even make this big old move to be sitting here sad. And I went on this journey to find God, And I asked God when I was on that journey, well, what is my purpose? Why did I move out here? I love fashion. I love art. Should I be going to New York more to pursue that? Like, what is it that you want me to do? And then this journey just allowed me to uncover some of that anger I said I had, some of this confusion I said I had. And I learned this process of how to kind of heal myself alone, watching people like Tori Roberts, watching Sarah Jakes Roberts, watching people like TD Jakes. I was getting their word, a lot of word from God, and I was writing out my anger. Where did it stem from? Who told me to believe these things about myself? And I was replacing those thoughts with what these figures said that God said about me.
Mm.
And that is where my self-awareness came from, being able to like replace those thoughts that I just carried um just through my childhood, and just like what family would say or what peers would say. And I made this identity of myself based off of that, but I never really made my own identity. And those moments, those early moments in the DMV, once I really had nowhere to run, I discovered who I was and what God said I was, as opposed to what everybody else said I was and who they thought I should be.
Mm. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't know the depths of of your healing journey. And you mentioned something that was really powerful about how you wrote out the things that you were learning and unlearning. So could you talk a little bit about more about
Mhm.
what that looks like in your daily practice?
Yeah, that is still a part of my daily process, because in my daily practice and process, because you never know what part of you needs healing until it's like in your face. So what it looks
Mm.
like for me is when I feel anxious, or when I feel begin to ruminate, just overthinking things, I take my journal and I write out the exact feeling that I'm having. I feel anxious. I feel confused. I feel scared. I want to just take a moment to talk about that part, because I feel like
Mm.
before, when I said I was angry, I didn't know any other emotion that I had. I wasn't able to label my emotions in a way that I'm able to now. So when I
Mm.
have this moment in time right now and I feel some type of way, I put a name to it. That is allowing me to just feel the depths of the woman that I am, and not to say, oh, I'm an angry black woman. No, I'm a scared black woman right now. I am
Mm.
a nervous black woman. I am a happy black woman. Like, just being able to put the feelings down is my first step, but it's very important. And then I'm able to write out like, what is the thought behind that feeling, and who told me that's the truth.
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
finally, forgiveness. That's a big step of my process too. I like to forgive myself for allowing whoever to make me feel this way. If it's a line that my grandmother used to say, and I started to believe it is true, or if it's what society said I should be doing, I'm not trying to live up to this standard that's not real. Like, I forgive
Mm.
myself for taking on somebody else's voice. And for me, I also forgive them too. I don't have to go call them and say I forgive you, but I find forgiveness in my heart for that, because they were just doing their best, or they were trying to protect me, or they were just projecting. Whatever the case, I find forgiveness for them. And then finally, once on my journal session, I like rewrite my truth. Like, if I don't want to feel this and I don't want to embody this, then who is it that I'm going to embody, and how am I going to move forward doing that? So
Mhm.
this process, this is like a mixture of my daily healing, but I got a lot of this from Torrey Roberts in his book Wholeness. A lot of what I just described, I gained a lot of that from his insights. Being able to
Mm.
get real with your feeling, and real with the writer of how you feel about yourself. But the forgiveness
Mhm.
part is something that I gained on my own, because I realized that I had so much resentment, that when I start forgiving folks and forgiving myself, that the freedom
Mm.
is that's where the freedom lives. So just kind of
Mm.
mixing a few different ideologies to come to a place of like daily peace.
Mm. First of all, applause to you. You are doing. I done found this applause button, and now I'm just having a ball. But no, you are doing the work. Like when we say doing the work, this is what it actually looks like. One of the things you mentioned that reminds me of a book that I read by Natalie Gutierrez, The Pain We Carry, Healing from Complex PTSD for People of Color. And it's a self-help book that addresses PTSD, but also other effects of like systems and families and communities that we kind of deal with as people of color, and we put on things on our in our body that we didn't realize that we were carrying. So, like, it could have been a name that someone called you, or saying that you would never graduate from high school, or a statement like that, and we hold on to these things, and it is collective trauma in our body, right? And she talks about the importance of self-compassion and being able to forgive oneself and others. And so when you mentioned that, I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what Natalie is talking about in the pain that we carry. It's not about just the systems that we live in, which are also harmful, right? Especially as Black women navigating these systems in America, right? It is very challenging and can be harming to your body and to your mind and to your spirit. But there are some harm that has happened in our families. And we have to be real about the ways in which we navigate these relationships, because Thanksgiving can be traumatizing. Family reunions can be traumatizing for some people. And so, what you just mentioned, along with the pain that we carry, that Natalie Gutierrez wrote in, is that providing strategies on how to overcome that trauma, that grief, that disappointment, or that anger when you have to look at it every day, or during a family reunion, or during Thanksgiving, right? How do you breathe
Yeah.
and collect and recenter yourself, right? And also take heed and take control of the narrative, right? And being able to say in an I statement that I do not appreciate what you shared, or I am no longer that person that you remember me to be back in 2002. Okay, I have
Yep.
grown, right? So you have to speak to me with respect. So establishing the things that you need, right? And it's so much boldness. When I hear you speak, I hear boldness, I hear confidence, I hear courage, I hear peace. So with that, Toni, when you go back home, and even maybe in your dating life, how does this newness and this awareness impact others who remember the old Toni?
Well, you know what? It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna go anywhere for other people. They're gonna want to put you in a space that they are used to seeing you in, like you mentioned. So at the beginning, I tried my best to show up with grace, realizing that I went on this journey, and that doesn't mean everybody else went on the journey. So just being a little bit
Mhm,
more gracious and like, okay, be patient. But after a while, and after some not so cute Thanksgivings, I removed myself. And sometimes we
mhm,
have to remove ourselves from people who aren't respecting you as an adult, or respecting you as the person that you recreated yourself to be and who you are not playing about. So that's a hard thing that I feel like I see more people talking about it, but we also know that in the family makeup, it's just, oh, that's your auntie, that's your cousin, and it's like,
exactly.
because that's not allowing me to show up as who I want to be and
Mhm,
who God told me I am. So either we have to go on the same page, or it's like, unfortunately, but not so fortunately, that I need to just kind of be in a space where people are going to parade me and like clap for me, as
mhm,
opposed to make me feel somebody I don't want to be anymore, or somebody I never really was, but you guys kind of, created this narrative that I was. So just removing
mm.
myself. And in my dating life, it's interesting. I feel like since I've been in this space, I don't think that I've dated anybody who's really known me from before my like awakening, but that's also because I moved away.
Okay.
But what I can say is when I did move back because I moved back to Ohio for a while, they didn't know me, but they had a lot of the a sidebar. I moved away and I stayed away because I love the mindsets in this area. So in Ohio,
Mm,
no, they weren't able to kind of try to put me in the space of who they used to know me as, but their
mm,
mindsets remind me of who I was or what I grew up around. So just having to like show them a new way.
yeah.
But it's hard. I can't say it's not
Hmm.
hard because you become like a black sheep. You're in this space and you feel so advanced, or you just think differently than other people. So the things they do for fun or the conversations that they have, it just feels like you feel foreign. So it's like you have to just
Mm.
be self and like not get pulled back into that space.
Absolutely. And again, that goes back to the self awareness that we mentioned and having those boundaries set. I think that
Mhm.
you, again, speak with such boldness, and it takes courage to do that, especially with family and friends, right? And I'm interested also, you as an influencer, mental health influencer. What are some of the emotional struggles that women don't talk about enough in your point of view and perspective?
Yeah. Um, I feel like one of the big things that women don't talk about is the fact that they're scared.
Mm,
I feel like as women and black women in particular, we are the rock of the family, right? We are the strong one of the crew. And so not being able to hold it all together or figure it out swiftly makes us feel like we're weak, or make us feel like we're like lacking something. So
mm,
admitting our fears, I feel like women don't do enough of.
mm,
And that kind of goes hand in hand of like receiving help. I pride myself in the fact that I've been receiving a lot of help. And it's not that in the past people didn't want to help me. I just couldn't see it because I
mm,
was scared to say, I don't have it all together. So a woman admitting fear or admitting being scared is something that I feel like we have to do more to receive that assistance and that help and that guidance so we can be in our software era. So
mhm,
that is one thing I'm like, girl, we got to feel like we can trust people around us to hold it together too.
absolutely. And I really do appreciate how authentic you are in that, because often, even being an influencer and talking about these things, you're wrestling with it yourself, right? So the
Mhm.
notion of fear and the notion of you know, trepidation and not being, courageous enough to step out on whatever situation it may be, right? Because we have to be the rock for the family. She has to be the everything for everybody else but herself. And so I'm interested in knowing also, like, how do you as an influencer balance your peace, protect your peace while also being authentic about where you are in your mental health journey? Because for me, it's hard because I have some down days, and sometimes I'm like, I want to talk about, depression, anxiety, and I want to push Black men to move past this grind mentality and learn how to rest, learn how to revel in nature. But I'm like, I'm struggling with myself, like
Yeah.
I'm booked and busy. I'm doing something every hour. I'm like, if my feet not moving, I don't feel like I'm worth it. So it's like, oh my God, like the things that I'm trying to convey to others, I'm failing to take heed myself. So
Mhm.
for you, how do you balance that, if
Yeah.
there is a balancing act?
Yeah. I had to learn how to balance that. So I started the Power She Holds, my business in 2018. And
Mm,
I stopped in maybe in mid 2020 because I was experiencing some things in my personal life that made me feel like, girl, I'm not doing none of the stuff I'm telling the girls to do on my platform.
Mm,
Inauthentic. I'm like, I'm not, I can't do this no more. I felt like a fake. So I stopped. And during that time, I just stopped making content altogether. And then at some point, I'm like, I gotta come back. In that moment, I
mhm,
came back. I created a video called Why I Stopped Coaching." And what I said in that video on my YouTube is that I stopped coaching because I was not being honest on my journey. And that right there is what I do now. I'm honest on my journey. And instead of like me going through something crazy and then waiting 6 months to tell the story or to find the gems in my lesson, I'm going to take that moment in real time and create a video that's going to go out within the next 2-3 weeks, because I want to not hide my human nature. I'm not
mm,
perfect. I'm not a robot. I'm not better than. I'm somebody who has, like you said, the courage. I've had courage to put myself out there to be able to help women find the things within themselves. And I'm also doing the same thing with myself. And that's why I feel I'm a good person to be in this space, because
mhm.
I'm also on my journey too.
Right.
I'm not super far off, and we all can find healing. So
Mm,
I think of that,
mhm.
think of like not trying to show up as a perfect person and trying to seem like I'm this super duper expert, which I do know I am, but I'm also a woman who's going to fall down, who's going to stub her toe, and I don't want to act like that never happened to me.
Right. Right. Because experts have to learn too. And the only way you learn
Exactly.
is through
Hmm.
lessons. And so so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I also appreciate the way that you have merged your mental health influence platform with beauty. And because often it's either one or the other, you know. And like TikTok, I'm big on,
Hmm.
I love TikTok. And you know what the main thing I watch on TikTok, which is crazy, just guess.
What?
Makeup
I'm not
tutorials.
gonna say makeup tutorial.
Uh, yes, makeup tutorial. I don't wear makeup. I'm not a wake up makeup wearer. But I just think it's so fascinating to see the transformation from one face to the other, and just it's fascinating to me. I also am in theater. I was a theater kid,
Mhm.
so I just like to see the transformation of it all. But I will say that I don't hear a lot of beauty girls or men or non-binary, whoever in between. They don't really talk about mental health, right? Unless like they're being asked to by a brand or if they have a partnership or something like that. Like you don't really find a lot of mental health influencers out there who have beauty infused. So talk to me a little bit about how that came to be, and also what is one beauty myth that women should stop believing?
Mm. Okay, so doing the two, mental health and beauty, it has been a challenge, because at the beginning when I started doing beauty, I wanted to just lean in on beauty. And then at
Mm,
some points I felt like, well, you know what? I started doing my beauty when I went on the break from coaching. And so when I was ready to bring coaching back in and talk about mental health and self-love, I was like, I don't see it blending. But found I found a way, because it's a part of me. So I just started
mhm,
embracing all parts of me. I grew up loving fashion, art. My mother was a makeup artist for a while. Like I just grew up in
mm,
this space, so I can't deny like what's a part of me. But just because you look good on the outside don't mean you look good on the inside. So you got to figure out how to look good on the inside too. So that's what I
preach.
thought about when I'm like when I'm creating my mental health content, or when I'm doing my skincare or my makeup, and I may do a video where I'm telling a story that I experienced, or I'm giving some like tips on dating or whatever I'm doing. I'm merging the two, because all of it uniforms into you being your best self. You know some tips and tricks on how to be good internally, and you know how to do your makeup good, then you walking out like a star. So just being
Mhm.
able to like embrace both sides. A beauty myth, I don't know. A beauty myth. Hmm. You know what? This is a crazy one, but a beauty myth is that beauty, like these are quotes, quote unquote, pretty girls don't wear makeup. I heard
Mm,
that. I've always heard that. Girl, the pretty girls still want to glamour up.
right.
Some pretty girls and like dialed up girls who like naturally have it don't like to wear makeup, but a lot of them still like to like come internally and like bring it, express it through their makeup or through their lip gloss. So I
Hmm.
feel like that's a myth. Like just because you have clear skin or you don't break out or you don't need it does not mean that you don't want to wear it.
Hmm.
That's a myth that I hear that I think also may keep women who may have beautiful skin from wearing makeup or expressing themselves that way.
Mm,
Or
mm,
women who may have always heard these compliments as growing up, like, you're so pretty, you don't need makeup, you're so pretty. It may stop them from being able to express themselves through makeup. And I think that
mm,
that's what we need to, stop. We need to stop saying. A woman
mm.
who's gorgeous versus a woman who want to hide a blemish, we can use these tools to so we can show up and express ourselves the best way that we want to. I love makeup
Right.
because it helps pull out whatever feeling. I like to wear my pinks and my naturals colors, so like it allows me to be soft and feminine. But
Hmm.
some women love their bold colors because it allows them to show up as that girl. So it's just like I
Hmm.
think makeup is a tool to express yourself. And just because you have gorgeous skin or you want to cover up your blemish or whatever it is, it shouldn't be like have you shouldn't be in that box. Like if you're wearing it, then you're not pretty. Like that's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Right. And it's there for your expression, as you mentioned, right? Like it's to enhance, right? Not to replace or to say that beauty wasn't here already. It's to say I'm
Mm-hmm.
enhancing the beauty that is there. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a really good perspective. And I really appreciate your platform and how you merge the two. Like I think that
Thank you.
it's beautiful to see that you can go through the struggle and have these emotional ups and downs and not forsake your own health and your own
Mm-hmm.
self-care routine, right? You got to be able to still care for yourself even when you don't feel like it, right? And self-care looks different for everybody. But that could just simply be, I'm going to wash my face today.
Yep.
I did it. I made it to the sink to wash my face today, right? Or it could just simply be, I'm gonna get a haircut today. I'm gonna get this line up because we men know, my brothers out there, y'all know, baby, when you get that haircut,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
over.
Eat.
Listen, and I'd be like, and then I saw this meme the other day that said, "Brother, you weren't depressed, you just needed a haircut." You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like, that's
Mm-hmm.
also the magic of beauty, and doing things that enhances your feelings and your looks, and it boosts your confidence, and it'll bring you out of that down day that you may be experiencing.
I second that. I second that
Hmm.
so much. Like, girl, you're not boy, girl, whoever, you're not depressed. You just need to go ahead and get that line up. You need to go
Exactly.
ahead and get your hair done. As soon as you do that, you feeling like a whole new person. So I second that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because you're doing both work. You're doing the internal, especially when you're doing the internal work as well as the outward work, right? And you're complementing what's
Mhm.
inside. And if it's not there yet, you at least dolling up to make to eventually get there, right? Because it's all a journey. It's all an
Exactly.
emotional journey. And so,
Mhm.
here on Brother Bree, we focus a lot on mental wellness, mental health wellness for Black men of all ages, really promoting healing conversations. And I don't have a lot of women sometimes, especially girls like you, women who like you, that can relate to a different range of men, but I'm interested in knowing what are some things that men often misunderstand about women's emotional needs from your perspective.
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, that's such a good question. um, I feel like one big thing that men do and how they kind of neglect a woman's needs, emotional needs, is that they may shower her in gifts or take her on dates and be consistent, but they're not hearing her.
Mm.
They're not speaking to her in her love language or speaking to her in a way that makes her feel seen. So I think that that gap causes a lot of conflict in relationships that can be mended just through, conversation, being able to get on the same page.
Mm.
If you buy somebody all these gifts, you take them out, but they feel like you're just throwing stuff at them because they like to have quality time, or they like when you acts of service. They like when you just pick up a case of water on your way home or something like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they feel unseen. So I just feel like men have to collab with their girls to figure out if I'm doing the right things to make you feel safe and make you feel seen. That's one thing that how women's emotions are kind of just being neglected over. And
Mm.
I do think, and I think that it could be in my mind, it's a simple fix. It's a maybe a conversation, could be a tough conversation, but just getting on that same page. And I think it's simple because when two people want to be in the same space together, they want a long lasting relationship, that you figure out how to make your person and their emotional needs feel met.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what does healthy emotional support from men look like?
Healthy emotional support is validating how your woman is feeling. Um, Even if you may not agree,
Mm.
make it acknowledging how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think also taking it a step further is also showing up and being vulnerable as well.
Mm.
I feel like men may feel like they want to just allow the woman to be emotional and they get to say how they're feeling, but they like to stay, keep their emotions to the close to their heart. But by doing that, most times she's trying to figure it out. Either she's trying
Mm.
to figure you out, read you through your actions, which is really important, but still
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to read through your actions as opposed to your words. Or she's like, well, he didn't say anything, and now you feel resentful because you're not saying anything as a man.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like opening up your heart and saying, babe, that hurt me. That hurt my feelings. Babe, can you think of how, like, can you say that another way? Like,
Mm.
showing up in I know men, it's hard to show emotions. And I know that's what you talk about a lot on your show too, just ways to cope with emotions as a man and your mental health. But I also think that doing that hard work and showing up very vulnerable and scared for your person allows you both to have um, to feel seen emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't just want to be the only one naked and like just raw,
Right.
and you're all like clothed and like armored. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be a two-way street, I think.
So, what's something you wish men asked women more often? And this can be relational in terms of,
Mhm.
a partnership, or it can be, mother son, or just brother sister, coworker to coworker. What's something you wish men asked women more often?
Hmm. Hmm. I think that I don't want to like simplify it, oversimplify it, but I think that men can ask, brothers can ask more, cousins, sons, your boyfriend or whatever can help, ask for help
Mm.
in the sense of, can you teach me how to do this? Or men are always we think they have it all together. They, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
men are like really armored. So you think that
Right.
they have all together, and they also think they have it all together. So I feel like them saying, I don't know how to do that. Actually, I can't.
Mm.
I want to do that for you. How can I do that? Tell me how to do that. Um,
Mm.
Ma, I want to be a better son. How can I help me understand? Or I can't do that right now. Can you pick up the groceries? Like just asking
Mhm.
for help, asking for a helping hand, I feel like can remove some of the resentment or just have the resentment can remove some
Mhm.
of the resentment between two people if they're
Yeah.
able to have a space to ask for help.
So having men ask women for help and being honest about where they are. So that kind of reminds me a little bit. David and Tamala Mann recently did an interview with Jamal Bryant on his podcast, and David
Mhm,
Mann talked about how he's been dealing with his own mental health issues, and he said that he was so depressed and just going through so much. And Tamala, his wife, was like, I mean, she said she would ask him how's he doing, but like, he would just say, I'm good, I'm cool. But like she said that she never
mhm,
knew that he was going through so much. And Jamal Bryant's wife was like, "Well, what questions did you ask him, or was there signs that you could have seen?" And David was like, "No, I
yeah.
just, I kind of just retreated in my own world, or I would just like, just be busy and go to the next thing." She would have never known. And in my mind, I'm like,
Mhm,
yes, Tamala, as his wife, has a responsibility to check in, to ask good
mhm,
questions, and to be curious about David's, situation. But David also has a responsibility with his partner of 38 years to say, today's not a good day. Like, I'm not
mhm,
okay, or I can't do this, or I'm about to drive off this bridge, right? Like, right? Because Tamala was like, she just didn't know it was that
mhm.
deep,
Yes.
right? And then she felt some type of way because she was like, I wish you would have shared that with me. Now, granted, I don't know the details of their relationship, but there are responsibilities on both ends
Mhm,
where if you are in need, open up your mouth and say something.
mhm,
If you can't open up your mouth and say something, text it.
mhm.
Write the question down, send a
Yes.
letter, but like don't suffer alone
Yes.
in silence. Don't allow your arrogance or this armor that you mentioned to build up so thick that it keeps you in misery when you can really just have help if you just open your mouth.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
And that's earlier I kind of mentioned like a woman can look at a man's actions to see what's going on. We shouldn't have to do all that. Like,
Mhm.
yes, you should watch people's actions so you can know who you're just understand somebody's, character. But this is somebody that you're in a relationship with, like I can't do that's so much lifting for me to try to read what you're going through because you're not speaking about it. So yes,
Mhm.
like it's both people's responsibility. So if you're picking up on his distance or picking up on like some habits that seem different, I think it is a woman's responsibility to ask like, "What's up? What's going on? You seem
Mhm.
different." But also, it's his responsibility to show up honest in that moment.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
not try to blow it off when she's putting an effort to try to continue to have a healthy relationship and making sure that you're heard. You can't brush it off. And I think that
Mhm.
like what you're saying in that interview hit the nail on the head. Like
Mhm.
I didn't know because I asked, or you just act like nothing was wrong. It's
Right.
not okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we know it takes courage for men to
Mhm.
say, "I do need help," or "This is what's happening." But if you have somebody who does care and they are genuinely curious about your current state, find a way to open up and just to say, "I do need help." Again, even if it's in a text message or a letter, or like don't hold on to it so much that you feel like I have to handle this on my own. There's someone out there that is willing to help if you just open your mouth. But I would like to end with this on some advice, right? What advice would you give men who want to be better partners, friends, and allies to women?
Mm. I think that I would tell men to I would tell men to cradle their ladies,
Hmm.
cradle them in the sense of speak speak beautiful words into their spirit. Um, just as a guy that's with his Jordans or his watch or whatever that he puts, like one of his prized possessions that he holds, like this, like cradles. Think of the women in his life in that space too.
Mm.
How can you protect her emotions? How can you allow for her to show up confidently? I feel like how a new dad is like holding his new baby and he's like making sure nothing happens to
Right.
her. I feel like that protection is one thing that I would love men to do more with ladies, protecting them. And we in this era where there's, I love rap, so I hear it all the time. But
Mm.
in this era where men are always just speaking of women as if they're just objects,
Mm.
or what you bring to the table, and just looking down on women. I tell
Mm.
men to, or I encourage men to cradle your woman, cradle your daughter, cradle your cousin, your colleague, and allow
Mm.
her to know her worth and allow her to know how fragile and delicate that she is. So when she
Mhm.
shows up for a guy that she's dating or in the world with another man at work or something, that she knows that she's special, that she
Mhm.
knows that she's bringing um, what she's bringing to the table because you gave her that. And
Mhm.
me saying this isn't taking it away from a woman who also, we have to have that confidence within, but it's great to have that support from the men in our worlds too, because then it just makes for a more solid foundation. we
Right.
weren't we
Right.
weren't just, Adam wasn't born just to be Adam, he Eve
Mhm.
joined, right? We have
Mhm.
to be yin and yang. And so I feel like it's one thing to know your worth on yourself by yourself, but there's another thing to have the man in your not in your world, in your life, to breathe that onto you and to make sure that I'm cradling it, so you know for a fact, like, this is what I said it, and my dad said it. I said it
Right.
and my brother said it. So this is a fact. So
Mhm.
cradle your ladies more. Cradle them more.
And I hear that. I have a lot of black women in my life, and even at the job, in my workplaces, like if there's a black woman, most of my supervisors have been black women in the last like 5 years, and some, not all. There was one I had an issue with, but other than that, like all of the black women that I've been supervised by, I always make sure that I, in your words, cradle them by being the person that I know that, especially when they're navigating white spaces and they are
Hmm.
typically in leadership positions, like I'm your support system. Like if I would
Yes.
never, betray you or talk behind your back. I'm the one that's my ears are to the ground. I'm gonna let you know if I hear anything. Like it just being protective, not in an inappropriate way, right? Because some of the women are married, but like me
Right.
as a black man in the space, right? I have taken on this responsibility of protecting and shielding and honoring black women in the workspace. So I hear you when you talk about the cradle, or just really protecting, like hovering over in an appropriate manner that says, hey, I'm here to support you, I'm not against you. And especially in these
Yes.
workplaces, you might feel alone, but you're not. And I would love to see more black men do that, in the workspace, especially in higher education, because I've seen some things, and
Mhm.
I've seen some black men, like hate on black women, or block promotions, or all these sorts of stuff. And it's like, yo, we are so much better together. We're so much better
Yes,
together.
we are.
And so,
Yes, we are.
but also a little bit of that is generational, so hopefully
It's
with the
that's
millennials and the new generations coming up, that we are being a lot more optimistic and more open, with those relationships. And so
yeah.
my last question, to flip it, is what advice would you give women who want to be better partners, friends, and allies to men?
Hmm. I would tell ladies to be more present. And I say that because we got TikTok to go on and type in how to have a man pay for my dinner. Like we
Mm,
have all this advice in the world on how to get something from a man. I want to challenge women or encourage women to be more present so you can actually see what's going on in your relationship with this person. Rather be
mhm.
somebody you're dating or your peers, your friends, your family, your work colleagues. Like stop going in there with the mindset or the intention of how can I get, and just really experience this person. I feel like if we
Yeah.
experience each other more, you're able to hear this person's excitement and what motivates them, or you're able to hear this person's pain points and what hurts them and what scares them, if you're actually present in having conversations or just watching and just listening. So be more present and appreciate the men in your world more, and stop just looking for a handout. And yes, we do deserve things, but going in there with only that as your intention,
Mhm.
you're missing the blessing of this person or just the experience of this person. So be more present in your interactions with men and see what they're all
Absolutely.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so grateful to have shared this time with you.
Say,
We want to really highlight Black women influencers this month and advocates, and we really believe that her voice, her advocacy matters. When you hear her voice, her advocacy, what does that mean to you?
her voice, her advocacy to me, that means freedom.
Mm,
That means courage. Being able to be heard. And even if you
mhm,
don't hear me, I use my voice. I said what I was in my heart. That's freedom. We're often taught that our needs don't matter. Do what I said. So being able to
mhm,
hear her voice, her advocacy, it makes me feel like we have a space to be seen, to feel whole, and be in our software era. Okay.
period. I know that's right. So, how
Yes.
can the folks follow you? What platforms are you on, and how can the folks follow you?
Yes, definitely. So you guys can follow me on TikTok and also on Instagram at Toni J Hunt. I post a lot of lifestyle content there and also self-love and mental health tips, advice, or just my experience, my stories. But also, I love to be building my community on YouTube. So that's where I am as well. You can follow me on YouTube or subscribe to my channel at Toni J Hunt as well. So all three of those places, if you want to have a community, you want to have some sisterhood, that's where you're going to really find it at, especially on YouTube.
Absolutely. The vlogs, the shorts, all of it is on point. So I'm so
Yes, thank
grateful
you.
to know you and to be in community with you. I am better because of you. And so I
Thank
appreciate you being on my platform. Y'all, please, please, please follow, like, and share this video. Be sure to subscribe to Mr. Big Head Productions on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, brother underscore breathe. Let's build this community together and be on the lookout in a couple weeks for the next guest. But Toni, I want you to end today this session and just share any last thoughts, any last encouragement or advice with our community on today.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me on here, Tate. Definitely follow Tate's platforms because you need to. Okay, period. That's why. I think that what I want to close off with is by saying that you must trust yourself.
Mhm.
That's what I want to instill in men and ladies. Learn to trust yourself because that is going to take you very far. When you're scared, do it anyway.
Mhm.
When you're unsure, trust that uncertainty to figure out how you can become prepared for whatever it is that you want to do. The voice and the intuition that is in you, I'm a believer of my God. So periods from God. Trust that it's in you for a reason. So figure out how you can get it out. Trust yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Y'all heard it from the best. Keep breathing and keep healing. Love y'all.